People usually think losing weight is 50% diet, 50% exercise, but both of these combined is actually only 20%. Another 20% is sleep, and the rest of it is sticking to the plan. If you're trying to lose weight, then there's an easy way to stick to it long term and actually reach your goal. Step 1 is motivation. You who is watching this YouTube video right now has both good motivators and dark motivators. You're going to use both of these motivators in order to start and stick to the plan. An example of a good motivator is how happy and healthy you'll feel after losing the weight. An example of a dark motivator is thinking about the girl that rejected you in the past and wanting to prove her wrong. Don't limit yourself to just using good motivators, because all high performers have dark motivators. If you listen to any interviews from anyone who's achieved big results in their life, whether they've set world records, whether they've built huge businesses, it's usually from an insecure place. It's usually using some sort of fear they had when they were younger and wanting to overcome it. The action step is to make a new document and just have this open during this video, or take out a piece of paper, and step 1, write down your good motivators and your dark motivators and list as many as possible. Step 2 is committing to a diet and exercise plan. The easiest yet one of the most effective diets to lose weight fast is intermittent fasting. It's a diet and lifestyle where you have a smaller eating window every single day. So if you wake up at 6 a.m. or 8 a.m., then you have this 4 to 6 hour period where you're not eating any food at all. You're allowed to have black coffee, you're allowed to have black tea or any sort of tea, just no milk and sugar. You want to have 0 calories on it, which basically literally means you can only have coffee, tea, and water. You can have sparkling water. Now at noon, you can break your fast. You can eat a normal meal like you would, but try not to overeat and eat like this huge meal because you need to compensate for calories. You're just trying to eat how you normally would, just without breakfast. Now I know there's people out there who will be like, I need my breakfast. I can't go without my breakfast. I can't function. But you are lying to yourself. You have never seen your potential. And it just, when people say that to me, I always tell them, if you've seen a guy who can't go 2 hours without a cigarette, he's sitting there shaking with his withdrawal symptoms, and he needs a hit of that nicotine, you would easily call that guy addicted. You would be like, wow, he's such an addict to the drug. This is such a horrible thing that's happening in our country. But every single person who says, I can't go 2 hours, 1 hour without food, I need my breakfast in order to function, you're addicted to food. And I know that sounds crazy. I know that no one's going to say this. No one will ever point out that, be like, that guy's addicted to food. Like, usually that means that he's like obese and he's just overeating. Not that he's like eating breakfast. But that's what I'm saying. You are addicted to food if you can't fast until noon, if you can't function like a normal person without that. Because what you'll find if you go through this process and you just give it a few days and you skip breakfast a couple days, you'll find that 4 to 6 hour period in the morning is when you feel the best. Right now, I am fasted, and I know when I eat a meal after this or later in the day, I will drop in my productivity. I will drop in my ability to focus, to function. That's what you get when you start intermittent fasting. And this step is called committing to the plan. It's not just choosing the plan, because you need to stick to this long term. I lost 65 pounds with intermittent fasting. You don't need to jump to keto, carnivore, to paleo, to any of these other diets. If you stick to this, it will work. And if you can't stick to it or you don't get results, you'll find that in any other diet, you'll also come to the same place, because it's not a diet issue. It's not an exercise plan issue. It's a personal issue manifesting as, oh, it's a diet problem. Oh, it's my split. That's a thing. No, it's always your fault. Always think, what am I doing wrong? Never blame the diet, especially when you get it from someone who has already got that result, who's already lost 65 pounds using that plan. Now onto the exercise routine. The easiest split to get into is PPL. Push, pull, legs. Now you can do this split 6 times a week, where you do push, pull, legs, rest. And if you're wondering, like, why do I need to lift weights? Like, I'm here to lose weight. Just tell me the diet. Tell me to go run. If you get into lifting weights and you start to build muscle, you'll start to find that your body burns more calories by itself. You're able to eat a lot more food if you have more muscle on your body. And it's not just because, you need to fuel the muscles, do that thing, but it's because a pound of muscle burns more calories than a pound of fat. Think about that for a second. Like, you could be the same weight you are now, but replace some of that fat with muscle, and then you'll be burning more calories throughout the day, which means you can eat more calories and still be losing weight or reaching your goal. I have the exact routine I use for my first year of training. It's very beginner friendly, linked in the description. You can go there, and when you read those exercises and you have no idea what to do, I just want you to go on YouTube and look up how to do and then insert that exercise. There are thousands of tutorials on YouTube for doing this. You can choose from any body type, literally any type of personality. That person will explain the exercise to you. Step 3 is discipline and consistency. This is where you actually get your results. So you have motivation and you know exactly what to do now. Why do you need discipline and consistency? Well, it turns out that motivation is highest when you start a new routine. You start the new exercise split, you start the new diet, but it will quickly go down. Even knowing your good and dark motivators, you'll find yourself at a low point after a few days when you're hungry, when you're sore, when you just want to eat breakfast, when you just want to skip the gym today. And those motivators might not be enough when you're in that state. But discipline and consistency is about going anyways, about fasting anyways, about sticking to the plan. And it turns out that this is an individual muscle that you have to build up. But the way that you build your discipline might not be what you think it is. If you're anything like me, then you probably have a pretty high view of yourself, you know? Like, I'm telling you these steps right now, and you're hearing it, and you're just like, yeah, like, I can do that. I can do that split. I can intermittent fast. Like, let's get into this, you know? Like, you agree that you kind of have this view of yourself that you are capable of doing these things. Well, it turns out that whatever you view yourself as, if it's too high, if you view yourself as too capable of a person without the actual evidence of being able to do the thing, like if you haven't been sticking to your workouts or diets in the past, you probably don't have the evidence that you are that type of disciplined person, right? You're probably a lot less capable than you think. I don't mean to discourage you by saying that, but I mean to give you this new method where you take steps that are so small that they piss you off. You know, like, instead of going and doing this full push-pull leg split, you look at the exercises you have to do and you just choose a couple that look fun to you. And you just look up online how to do them, and you go and you do that workout. And in your head, you might be thinking like, no, like, I can do this entire workout, Sunny. Like, I can go and do the entire push day, the entire pull day. Like, fuck it. Like, I got this. I'll do it tonight. Instead of that, I want you to go through and just do a little bit. Literally go so small, like, you'll know that it's small enough when it pisses you off. And when you see your mind being like, no, I can do more than that. You want to go right below that and take that small step. And this might sound counterintuitive. Like, how will going this small help me in any way? Like, how would just a couple exercises in the gym help me? How will just fasting for a couple hours instead of 6 hours help me? Well, it turns out that this is actually what discipline is. This is what consistency is built from. Because you're not thinking long term enough if you just want to go do an intense workout today. If you want to just go and fast for 8 hours today. What you actually want to do is start so small that after a month, when you look back, you might not have done the most intense workouts. You might not have been fasting for 24 hours or 16 hours. But what you do have is proof that you stayed consistent for that entire time. And now when you look forward for the next month, for the next 3 months, then you can be increasing this number. And when you look back after that time, you'll actually look down and see that you achieved your result because you showed up every single day. Compare that to another guy who just went and did an intense workout today, who was just like, okay, Sunny, like, I hear you. Screw this advice. I'm going to go do this fast. I'm going to do a 24-hour fast because you told me intermittent fasting is good. That guy in 2 days will wake up sore and hungry, and he won't want to go to the gym again. He won't want to continue fasting again. And in 2-3 weeks, that guy's going to be looking at this video again, trying to restart. What I want you to do is stick to this routine. And I'm telling you that the best way to do that is to just go so small that it pisses you off, to take these small steps, and after a month, start increasing it. So after 2 months, you can be at a level that you never even thought was imaginable because you just slowly increase your numbers and you showed up every single day. Step 4 is Kaizen, or continuous improvement. Now, if you got my point earlier and you understand, like, yes, consistency, showing up, taking small steps is important, But Sunny, like, eventually will want to increase the amount that we're doing, right? We'll want to get to be fasting until 12 p.m., until 2 p.m., and we'll want to be doing the entire workout. It's like, yes, the answer is yes. But I just want to really stress that point earlier, because 99% of people, they don't even get to this point where they're thinking about continuous improvement. They're just struggling to stay consistent for a couple weeks. And the cheat code of that is starting small. Okay, that point is made. So continuous improvement, you want to be doing this as slow as possible. In the gym, this is very logical. Like if you're lifting, 100 pounds on your bench press, week 2, you lift 105. Week 3, you lift 110, and you'll find that your body just adapts continuously. In the workout split I have below, you'll find that you'll be able to track all the data you have in your workout split, but it gets a little bit more complicated in your diet. So for intermittent fasting, you can have some cheat days if you want at the start of this new routine. Like on the weekend, if your friends want to go to IHOP, they want to go to this diner, you can break your intermittent fast and just eat breakfast that day. But the next day, I want you to restart intermittent fasting. Don't break your entire routine. And after a few weeks of having a cheat day here and there, eating some breakfast in the morning, you can start to cut down on those cheat days. You can start to be more disciplined with your friends and family. They want to go to IHOP. You can literally say, I will come just for the vibes. Like I will come and hang out with you guys, but I'm not going to eat food. I've done that many, many times. And you can imagine, I've done 72-hour fasts with my friends, and I've gone to cabins with them. Like I've lived with my friends. And so 3 meals a day, I'm just sitting at the table, enjoying their company, just talking to them, and they're asking me like, this doesn't make you hungry? Like, what the hell is going on, Sunny? And I'm just sitting there smiling at them. And this is what the lifestyle actually feels like when you become disciplined at intermittent fasting. You got to be okay with just being around people when you're fasting and they're eating. Obviously, you can just avoid the breakfast places, but I'm just giving that word of advice to normalize it for people going through this. So over time, you'll start to eliminate your cheat days completely. And then 7 days a week, you're doing intermittent fasting. The next way that you continuously improve this is by pushing your fast further. And so at the start, maybe you started at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and literally move that slowly, and you'll find that you can do this forever. And at 12 p.m., you can even push it further. You can actually keep going until you're at OMAD, 1 meal a day, OMAD. And that's literally when you're just fasting until like 8 p.m., and you eat that 1 meal, and that's it for the entire day. I know you might be thinking that's kind of crazy, like what the hell, like I'm fasting the entire day? That seems pretty hard. Well, it is. It's a pretty hard diet, but for some people, they actually prefer it. I've had seasons in my life where I did OMAD, and I really, really enjoyed it because just fasting feels really good. You feel really clear. You feel really clean in your body. And so if you can push your meal until that time, until later in the day, you will benefit greatly from all of these different side effects of intermittent fasting. But I would say just experiment with it. Like see what eating just at 12 p.m. is like, eating at 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and eating at 1 meal, and see what you like. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to include this because it's a little bit advanced, but I have to just in case people are going to eat like a shitload of pasta and ice cream when they're intermittent fasting. And so I need to mention that there's a difference between sugar and protein. And obviously that's like, oh yeah, there's a difference. But there is a huge difference even if the calories are the same. So you've probably heard, calories in, calories out. This equation that if you're eating less calories than you burn, then you will lose weight. Well, that's true. But if you're just eating ice cream, it's not going to happen. You're not going to lose weight. And the reason is because sugar causes your insulin to spike. And when you have a high amount of sugar in your blood, you're not in a state that you can burn fat. You need to have a low blood sugar in order to lose fat, just be in that state. So I think that really makes sense, right? And so macronutrition are about the 3 macros, or there's more, but whatever. There's fat, protein, and carbs. Now, protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Remember that. And so if you ever want to measure out your food, you can buy a food scale and just measure out the amount of grams in the food, and you can look up online. You can get MyFitnessPal or just Google how many calories, what's the nutrition of this many grams of this food. So now you'll get into the more specifics of how many fat, protein and carbs that are in your food. If your goal is to lose weight, then you want to have as much protein as possible. Around 35% of your calories can be protein, or you could do 1 gram per pound of body weight that you are. The reason a high protein diet is so effective here is because when your body digests protein, it actually burns calories, releases heat, especially compared to fat and carbs. Protein is just a little bit harder to break down, and so your body has to work harder for it. And so when you have this high protein diet, your body will just be burning extra calories, which will help you lose fat even faster. You also need that protein in order to build muscle, which again will help you burn more calories once you build up the mass. And if you can limit your carbs, then your blood glucose level will reduce, which will allow you to be in that state that burns fat even more. I recommend just having your carbs before and after your workout, and have more carbs after your workout because recovery from workouts are fueled by carbs. And some other rapid fire tips I have is that you can do cardio, like don't just be lifting weights and eating good food. Like you can reach your goals just by having a great diet and staying consistent with it. But if you involve cardio in this process as well, then you'll just be burning more calories, which will let you eat more food, which will hopefully just make it more sustainable for you long term. But if cardio is a big thing for you, I know it was for me, that you won't do it, you'd rather just go like break all your routines if you have to do cardio, then I understand that you don't have to do it. Just stick to the plan I gave. Another tip is to find someone else who's also on this journey with you and try to go to the gym with them, try to text them about what you're eating, and I promise this will 10x the likelihood that you enjoy this process and that you stick to it long term. And the final tip I have, don't click off yet, this is really important, is to fall in love with the process of learning how to lose weight and gain muscle. The time that I learned most of the information that I know now about losing weight and gaining muscle was when I was the most obese, when I was 265 pounds. I know people on the internet call this mental masturbation and like, you shouldn't learn this much, you got to take action and do. But I think it's a great way to create motivation in yourself if you learn all the material before, if you feel like you're an expert on it already, because then you'll want to experiment on yourself. You'll want to put all these concepts you have in your head into practice versus someone who just listens to the action steps and just goes and does it, but doesn't really know why it works or how it works. That person isn't going to get into the process as much or stick to it longer term. But that's it for today's video. If you want my one-on-one help with this, top link in the description. And if you don't, then you might as well, while you're down there, hit the like, comment, and subscribe button and watch this next video.